Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for a Monday edition of the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini. Sorry I'm a little bit late going live, a little bit past 5:30 right now is where we are at, but stuff is popping off left and right. Lots to talk about here today. We will start here in a couple of minutes with my first and final 53-man roster projection for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I originally, in my 53-man projection, had a couple of surprise makes, had a couple of surprise cuts, but the Steelers, they made a handful of roster moves today, so my 53-man roster, I had to go up until going live with you guys right now. I had to go and edit together a little bit of that. So we're going to start with that here in a couple of minutes. We're also going to talk about some other news related to the Pittsburgh Steelers throughout the 53-man roster projection. I'll mention a couple of injury updates, what is going on with a handful of players. And then afterwards, today, a massive day on the wide receiver market that could affect who the Steelers could possibly bring in to fill their wide receiver 2 hole, including one breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. One wide receiver who has been on the free agent market for quite some time, now taken off of it. We will break down more of that after the 53-man roster projection. And then we will talk a little bit about some Pittsburgh Pirates baseball. They wrapping up a 3-game series with the Colorado Rockies this weekend. They sweep the Rockies, eliminate them from playoff contention. Who did well? What all is going on there? We will discuss, and anything else that happens to come along the way. First thing is first, excuse me while I fix my hair there. If you are new here to the channel, please subscribe and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again. Hit the subscribe button. We are up to 492 subscribers here on the channel, and we are getting closer and closer to 500. So if you have not hit that subscribe button already, please do so. Every single subscriber helps. Every single subscriber counts. Also, while you're here, leave a like and share this live stream, as well as leave a comment in the comment section. Any thoughts, questions, or opinions that you may have. That could be about the 53-man roster projection. That could be about who the Steelers could possibly bring in to fill their wide receiver 2 hole, or anything that is on your mind. Really, anything. Get it in there. We can talk about it. I can pop those up on the screen at a moment's notice, just like what you see here. Also, if you would, go give me a follow on the following social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, and X at SteelCitySR. And be sure to tune back in at some point later tonight for a new edition of SCSR 60. Okay, now that that all is out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, not quite sure where to start here. We are going to start, keep going along with the plan of what I had going into the evening here. Let's start with my 53-man roster projection for the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you do not know, tomorrow, 4 p.m., this time tomorrow, we will be discussing what 53 players made the Steelers' opening week roster. The Steelers have already made a flurry of cuts, some over the weekend, some today, so not quite exactly sure what number of players on their roster they currently have. If I had to guess, we're probably looking somewhere in the 70s range right now, maybe even less than that. So by this time tomorrow, we will be discussing the Steelers' final 53-man roster, who made the team and who didn't, coming out of this very active preseason and training camp. And right now, I'm about to pop up on the screen here. I'm going to disappear. My 53-man roster projection for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is my prediction of what will happen between now and this time tomorrow. I'm going to start off here with the offense, ladies and gentlemen. If you look here on your screen, going to start here with the offense. 53-man roster projection, 3 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 6 wide receivers, 4 tight ends, about 9 offensive linemen here, and just throwing him in here with the offense, 1 kicker. That is Chris Boswell. No shocker there. Real quick, before I continue on here, let's go to the comment section real quick. X Concepts, welcome back, X Concepts. He's back. Hope all is well. Can't believe Cam Johnston was cut. I was excited for him to be back. Yeah, I'm going to get to that in a moment, Concepts, doing my 53-man roster projection here. That was what I talked about right when the show began, about how I had these graphics made. These graphics here for the offense and defense, they were done, set in stone, and then boom, this roster move gets made. Cam Johnston gone, so I had to go and edit there. Had a couple other guys on my 53-man roster projection that then got released within the past half hour. So I think without any typos, I strung together all of the, players that are still on the roster, filling them in their spots here. But anyway, starting here with the offense, my first and final, that is, 53-man roster projection for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Starting with the offense and the three quarterbacks here, no surprise, Aaron Rodgers, QB1. Mason Rudolph is QB2. I know that there's been a little bit of, speculations or just, bickering among fans of, is Mason Rudolph really the second best quarterback on this roster? What about Skylar Thompson? Really glad Skylar Thompson had a hell of a preseason. He exceeded all expectations that I think you and or I had for him, being a futures franchise, a futures contract at the end of last season. But Rudolph, still, we cannot turn a cheek to him that quickly. It wasn't too long ago that he really stood up for this team and got them into the playoffs. So Rudolph still QB2 in my book. I'm going to leave him right there. Also, he is coming off a pretty egregious ranking by FanDuel, where he was ranked the 24th backup quarterback in the NFL, behind guys like Zach Wilson, Tanner McKee, Hendon Hooker, who just got released today, Tyson Bagent, Aiden O'Connell, who just went on season-ending IR, Tyrod Taylor, Malik Willis. So Mason Rudolph, assuming that he gets in there at some point this season, you would probably predict that he will, just because I have little faith that a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers is going to make it through the season healthy, especially with this very crappy Steelers strength and conditioning staff. So Rudolph, still QB2 in my book. I believe that he will be there come this time next weekend, or 2 weekends from now, when the Steelers take the field against the New York Jets. In my QB3 here on this 53-man projection, Will Howard. Now, this was one of those sort of situations where I had to go back and edit this graphic. Howard is my QB3. I originally had Skylar Thompson there. Not going to lie, Thompson, he did impress enough in the preseason where I think he is worthy of a QB3 spot on most teams in the NFL. However, Howard, today, Mike Tomlin said that Howard is moving in the right direction in terms of getting back to full participation. He was out there at practice today, not doing drills with the other quarterbacks, but he was out there throwing. The first time I have seen him throw since this hand injury. Tomlin said they've gotten positive updates from the hand specialists there on the team. So Will Howard getting closer to returning to full team activities. I assume that they are going to immediately slide him into the QB3 spot. I think even though Skylar Thompson made a hell of a performance here, Howard, you're not going to take the risk of possibly, cutting him and, hoping and praying that he slips through to the practice squad. So Will Howard is my QB3, Rodgers, Rudolph, Howard, the three quarterbacks. Not too much to say here for the running backs. Really, this trio has been the trio ever since Caleb Johnson got drafted. Jaylen Warren, Kenny Gainwell, Caleb Johnson. No sort of conspiracy or hot take there with those three guys. Moving on to the wide receivers here. I got 6 wide receivers. I do think that is what the Steelers will carry in their wide receiver room, especially with the lack of a wide receiver 2 currently. We will talk about the possibilities of that later on in the program. But hey, when you don't have quality at the wide receiver position, you must have quantity. DK Metcalf, WR1, easy pick there. Also, easy makes Calvin Austin, the third, Roman Wilson, and Scotty Miller, a guy who I really thought that he was just going to be a camp body, and that, we're like, okay, he'll make it up until around this time, then he'll be one of the last guys to get released. But hey, Aaron Rodgers likes him. We've heard nothing but good things about Scotty Miller. He's one of those smaller, under-the-radar wide receivers, a veteran that you can depend on to be in the right spot at the right time. Rodgers likes him. The team likes him. He put on some good tape in the final preseason game against the Carolina Panthers. Scotty Miller, an easy make. My wide receiver 5 right here, Ben Skoranek. Really a... Skoranek, I don't want to list him as a pure special teams guy. He does bring some wide receiver ability. I do think that he is on maybe the slightest bit of trouble of losing a roster spot, but his special teams abilities, even with his foot injury, no surprise there that he is going to make it. Back to Calvin Austin real quick, talking about him making this 53-man roster. He, for a little bit there, was a candidate to make the IR, the short-term IR, where he misses the first 4 games of the season and then comes back week 5. However, back out there running routes, doing some more punt work. Looks like he is going to be healthy and ready to go week 1. And on my wide receiver list, my final wide receiver right there, WR6, is going to be Brandon Johnson. I could have really put any sort of wide receiver that you saw in training camp for the Steelers there. But the reason why Johnson is there, he's kind of like a big body like DK Metcalf, really out of this whole group of wide receivers. I would not be surprised if he is the second tallest wide receiver of the bunch. But honestly, Johnson, he is there only to be a warm body in a spot. I do think eventually the Steelers are going to add a wide receiver too. I now have a new favorite on that front. I'm sure all of you know who that is. But Johnson just filling in a spot there until another wide receiver comes into the mix. Real quick, wrapping up the offense here. Don't want to spend too much time on my 53-man roster projection here. 4 tight ends. Really, this is a no-shocker group either, kind of like the running backs. Pat Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith, who is back on the practice field, looks like he has a good chance of being ready for week 1. Big mountainous Darnell Washington there. And then a guy who we all are very, very harsh on, mostly because a lot of us think, oh, he's only here because his brother is on the team. Connor Hayward, he makes the 53-man to start the year as well. To me, I think he's sort of like that Scotty Miller rule where he's really gotten good court with Aaron Rodgers, and he could be a guy that you see out there, loses a defense loses him in coverage, and he makes maybe a catch or two a game. Seems like one of those niche receivers for Aaron Rodgers. Moving on to the offensive line here. First 5 names on that list is the starting O-line: Broderick Jones, Isaac Seumalo, Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick, Troy Fautanu. And then I have 4 reserves. Originally had 3, but then I made 1 cut on the defense. I will tell you who that is here in a minute. My backup offensive lineman, not the most adoring bunch of backup O-linemen right there. Andres Pete, who they just brought in a couple of weeks ago, former New Orleans Saint. The 2 Andersons, Spencer Anderson and Calvin Anderson. Calvin Anderson there, he recently returning to the practice field. He, too, up until I saw today that he was back out there practicing, was one of my candidates to start the year on short-term injured reserve. But if he's back out there and practicing, I assume that 2 weeks' time he's going to be healthy and ready to go. And then my final backup offensive lineman, Ryan McCullum there. Some work for him. He started preseason with an injury, came back for the final preseason game, looked a little rough, but hey, back up to Zach Frazier. Hopefully Frazier goes the whole time. And then McCullum, we at least know who he is. Kicker this year, no surprise, Chris Boswell. Ben Sauls released today by the Steelers. Well, technically not released. It was said that the Steelers are going to waive him and then cut him, but his roster transaction has not been completed yet. I think they might be holding out hope that a team like the Miami Dolphins, whose kicker went down, the Steelers, they're going to hold on to Ben Sauls, maybe see if they could get a late round draft pick for Ben Sauls. I do think he does deserve a starting spot in the NFL, no doubt there. Real quick, before I continue on with the defense portion of my 53-man roster, let's go to the comments section real quick. Couple more comments there. He could read basic underneath coverage in preseason. Couldn't. I assume you're talking about Mason Rudolph there, Daniel. Not quite sure there. Pipe dream, of course, but Jacoby Myers requested a trade, supposedly. I know it won't happen, but Skylar Thompson in the third for Jacoby. Concepts. Buddy, I love you. You're taking my content away from me here. I do. That's my exact thought there, Concepts. Jacoby Myers, I just mentioned a couple minutes ago, Brandon Johnson sort of filling in my wide receiver role. He's just a warm body there because Steelers, they're going to add a wide receiver too. You know it. I know it. I think Omar Khan's determined to do it and not have a repeat of last offseason. So, Flock, I see you there as well. Brandon Johnson, indeed, not making the team. He's just a warm body there. I should have put an asterisk next to his name there. He is just a placeholder on the 53-man until Jacoby Myers or I think Michael Gallup just got released today. There's maybe a couple of other wide receivers between now and tomorrow that'll get released. So I understand. Don't go too hard on me. Brandon Johnson, he's only there to be a warm body to fill out the 53-man. We'll see if a wide receiver 2 gets added between now and then. So trust me, I don't view Brandon Johnson as a guy making this 53. He's just there to fill a spot, to be a name on a depth chart. Those game-winning drives Skoranek had with Baker in LA 2 years ago were great. He's a solid wide receiver for sure and great special teams player. Agreed, Concepts. He almost kind of like Scotty Miller. I think Scotty Miller brings a little bit of special teams ability too. I think he used to be a punt returner back in Tampa Bay. If Calvin Austin, not sure how he's progressing along with his injury. I think it's progressing along well, but in case there's a setback or something else along as the season goes on, Scotty Miller, he too can provide some special teams returner capabilities. So, and, like I said, that being a favorable guy with Aaron Rodgers, Scotty Miller, Ben Skoranek, they're going to make the teams. They're going to make the team that way. I know nobody has talked about it, but look at the Cardinals wide receiver room. I would love to trade for Zay Flowers if we cannot get Myers from Vegas. I could take a Zay Jones. Did I just say Zay Flowers? Zay Jones. Sorry. Got two different Zays mixed in my head there. Zay Jones, yeah, I would be. Though I think Jacoby Myers is first and foremost. That's for sure there for me. With McLaurin now off the table, Jacoby Myers, we're all in on him. I'll tell you that much. My bad, you did mention Jacoby before reading comments. Just not by name, but I knew he was who you were saying. Yep, indeed, Concepts. All right, so getting back into the 53-man roster projection here, ladies and gentlemen. One more look here at the offense. Rodgers, Rudolph, Howard, Warren, Gainwell, Caleb Johnson, Metcalf, Austin Wilson, Miller, Skoranek, and then a wide receiver to be named later. But for now, it is Brandon Johnson. Freiermuth, Smith, Washington, Hayward are the tight ends. You got your starting 5 on the offensive line: Jones, Sayamalu, Frazier, McCormick, Fautanu. And then backup offensive lineman, Andres Pete, the 2 Andersons, Spencer and Calvin, and then Ryan McCullum. One last note here on the offensive line. I know you got Andres Pete there, Spencer Anderson, Calvin Anderson. Maybe this even will go for Ryan McCullum. If the Steelers are indeed serious, or at least, have on the table the option of going and bringing in Dalton Reisner, an offensive guard who's been, out there on the market for a couple of days now, I would honestly drop any of those 4 backup offensive linemen for Dalton Reisner in a heartbeat. So that's the offense, including kicker Chris Boswell. Now on to the defense. Ladies and gentlemen, my 53-man roster projection now on the defensive side. Looking here, we got 6 defensive linemen up here on top, 4 outside linebackers, 5 middle linebackers. We also got 6 corners up here, 4 safeties, so 10 DBs altogether. And then you got your 2 other specialists here, long snapper and punter. Starting here on the defensive line, Cam Hayward, easy make there, captain of the team, assuming. This is kind of regardless. He's going to make the 50-man. This has nothing to do with his contract situation, but you would assume, we talked about it, Cam Hayward back at practice late last week, I assume that all the contract, negotiations wanting to seek more money is now behind us. So he's going to be atop of the list here. Keanu Benton and Derek Harmon, they are the other top. They are the other two of the top three defensive linemen, and they are due to injury. As a matter of fact, Chris Halleck of DK Pittsburgh Sports said that Benton over the weekend has been dealing with an upper body injury. However, there is optimism that he will be ready for the season opener against the Jets. Following that up, Benton, he was out there practicing today, so that checks out that he should be good to go for the season opener. And then Derek Harmon, we talked about his injury status a little bit on Friday. Left Thursday's game with a knee sprain. It was later confirmed to be an MCL sprain. Expected to miss a month initially, according to Ian Rappaport. That would make him a candidate for the short-term IR. He comes back after the Ireland game and after the Week 5 bye. However, that view of him changed over the weekend as Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, very tied in with the Steelers, very tight with owner Art Rooney II. He says that the Steelers have no intention of putting Harmon on IR and think that it's possible that he will only miss one game. That would be massive, ladies and gentlemen. Mike Tomlin later confirmed Harmon's injury as week to week. So let's just go along here with the timeline that first came out. He misses about a month. Well, you got 2 weeks now between right now and week 1 against the Jets. If he only misses week 1 against New York and then comes back week 2, his first real NFL game is against the Seattle Seahawks for the home opener. I'm cool with it. So good on that front for Derek Harmon. He actually confirmed, by the way, his injury came on the second to last play that he played. It wasn't the one that we all thought, the final one. So said that it wasn't that serious. He thought that he could play through it, but he ended up going to the sideline, got checked out, went out on a cart. And of course, he says that it's frustration. It's frustrating and that it sucks, but it's a part of the game. So hopefully Derek Harmon will not miss that too much time. That reflects here in my 53-man roster projection. I have him making the team and only missing week 1. A couple other names here making the team initially from the defensive line. Y.A. Black, easy make there. That's really, he's really been the biggest bright spot in the darkness that has been the Derek Harmon injury. Y.A. has been an absolute beast. Lots of people calling him Big Snack Jr. following the likes of Casey Hampton. Now, Y.A. much bigger than Hampton, but off to a hell of a start in his career, even though it is preseason. And then a couple other here. These guys, not too high about, but again, they're just bodies to fill the roles right now, unless the Steelers bring in someone better. Daniel Akawale, who they brought in from the New England Patriots in the offseason, and somehow this guy making the team once again, Isaiah Loudermilk. I don't know if he will make it when it's all said and done. I think it's just, I have him here because familiar face, had a couple good plays in the preseason, and also some guys that they brought in to compete with him in the offseason. They didn't really flash. So really a weak defensive line depth opening roster here for the Steelers. I would love for them to add more, but hey, who knows? Christian Wilkins is still out there. Not sure if the Steelers want to go down that route, but yeah, those 6 are the hardcore defensive linemen of the group. Outside linebackers here, no shocks whatsoever. TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, by the way, today saying that he absolutely thinks that he will play week 1 against the Jets. He's been dealing with a groin injury. He only says that The only, main focus of that injury to him is making sure that it doesn't pop up throughout the regular season. Nick Herbig, another outside linebacker here. He, however, unlike Alex Highsmith, his availability for week 1 is starting to come more in doubt here. Says that Mike Tomlin said that he doesn't know if Herbig will be ready to play week 1. Herbig said that he hopes he's ready. You can hope in one hand and you know what in the other. I do think ultimately he will be healthy enough to go week 1, but starting to get a little worried on that front. And then the final outside linebacker here, Jack Sawyer, 4th-round pick out of Ohio State. Showed some good, showed some bad in the preseason. Same thing with the Marvin Leal, who just missed my cut here. I originally had both Sawyer and Leal making the team, but then that would put, I think, about 10 outside linebackers, 5 outside, or that would put about 10 linebackers in general, 5 outside, 5 inside. I think that's just too many linebackers, and Leal sucks. 3rd-round pick from a handful of years ago. Had to go transition from defensive end to outside linebacker. I just think at some point the Steelers, they're going to need to cut their losses with him and move on. So Watt, Highsmith, Herbig, Sawyer, those are the 4 outside linebackers. The 5 inside linebackers that you see right here, Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, Cole Holcomb. Good to see Cole Holcomb healthy. Malik Harrison, another inside linebacker, that the Steelers brought in this offseason, sort of a special teams and defensive double player there. And then the 5th inside linebacker. This, one of those changes that I had to make right before I went live. I originally had one guy here. You guys know who that is, Mark Robinson. But Carson Bruner, he makes the 53-man roster as that 5th middle linebacker. And it was so hard initially for me to say, man, Mark Robinson, physical freak, can go out there and be a beast on special teams. But you also have the 7th-round pick, Carson Bruner. He has done nothing but shine on special teams, especially in that final preseason game. It was a coin flip between Mark Robinson and Carson Bruner. I thought Robinson would be the guy and that they would try to sneak Bruner onto the practice squad, but the Steelers, just before I went live, releasing Mark Robinson along with 12 other players. So congratulations to Carson Bruner. On to the defensive backs here. Top 3, Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, Joey Porter Jr., easy makes. Brandon Eccles, another easy make. He has impressed in the preseason. Same thing, oddly enough, with James Pierre. I put James Pierre in the same category as like Scotty Miller, guys who have been here for a couple of years, but after, pretty much nothing no contributes from them last season, no contributions. I thought Pierre, like Miller, was just going to come here, be a camp body, and then when it comes time to cut bait, good luck somewhere else. But he impressed. Had good showings in training camp. Seems like every other day in training camp at St. Vincent College, he was getting his hand on a football, and then had that pick in the final preseason game. He's a good make, also solid special teamer. And then the final corner that I have making the 53 here for the Steelers, Corey Trice. Now, went back and forth on this here as well. I originally here for a corner, it seemed like every year there's one guy that you were like, okay, who the hell is this guy and why did he make the 53 man? I originally had Trice as an IR candidate, and I had Daryl Porter, who they brought in midway through training camp, make the team. Daryl Porter made a couple good plays in preseason games, but they ultimately cut him today. So Trice, he is back practicing as well. Trice hoping to go. He's hoping that he's ready to go week 1. I just put him in here. He still could go on season, early season IR, come back after 4 weeks, but I'll put him there. One guy who I'm sure you're all asking, where is he? Beanie Bishop, not making my 53-man roster projection. Unfortunately, he came under the influence of the best ability is availability. And also, pretty much just a nickel. He can't play anywhere else, really. Safety, outside corner, even special teams. We have not seen Beanie Bishop doing that. So Bishop can't really play anywhere else. Pretty undersized. Also went down with injury right before the final preseason game. Didn't play a single snap there. I think he just could be a nickel. If they didn't bring in Brandon Eccles or Jalen Ramsey, he would fill those spots as a nickel and slot corner. But no room here for Beanie Bishop. Good luck with him somewhere else, unless he ends up on the practice squad. Who knows? 4 safeties here. No surprises. Juan Thornhill, Deshaun Elliott, Chuck Clark. I'm keeping Chuck Clark there. I'm going to put a tiny asterisk next to his name. He could be a guy like Brandon Johnson or Isaiah Loudermilk, where if something else stupendous comes up on the free agent market, add Miles Killebrew, cut Chuck Clark, and then bring in another safety. But he'll be all right as a third safety out there on the field. And then, of course, this guy guaranteed to make the team 9 times out of 10. Miles Killebrew, special teams captain, can go out there, maybe play 1 or 2 snaps a game on defense. So he'll make the team. And then the final 2 members of the Steelers' 53-man roster. For me, long snapper Christian Kuntz. He has every intention to play in the opener against the Jets following his chest injury against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then punter, Corliss Waitman. This left me scrambling right before I went live. Waitman, he makes the team. The Steelers, it's not official yet on the NFL transactions page, but they are scheduled to release punter Cameron Johnston. So a neck-and-neck battle at punter throughout the entire preseason. Corliss Waitman just edges out Johnston in that position. Not sure if it came down to performance at the end of the day. I wonder if the Steelers said, hey, Johnston just had a major injury last year. No idea whether he's going to, continue what he used to be or what we paid him for last offseason. So Johnston, Johnston, he gets cut. Waitman makes the team over him. Also, I wonder if it comes to a couple of little tidbits that might give the Steelers an edge in the special teams that Waitman brings. Waitman, according to PFF, an average 4.84 second hang time. That is first in the NFL, while Johnston, he is near the bottom of the league at 4.20. That is almost 30th in the league. So Waitman, high hang time. Also, lefty punter. I'm sure that throws off returners quite a bit with the spin of the ball. Glad Waitman is making the team. Really, it was neck and neck. I would have been happy with either punter. Waitman becomes the guy, so congratulations to him. And that is my 53-man roster projection, ladies and gentlemen. One more time here. Hang on. There it is. There's the offense. One more time. If you want to pause and take a look at it, if you're just coming in here, by all means, go ahead and do it. And then here is the defense as well. So that is my 53-man roster projection. Also, did have a couple of, guys that could be practice squad worthy. After, adding Calvin Anderson and Corey Trice, I got really no one on the top of my mind that could be worthy of being put on short-term IR to begin the season. But a couple of guys that I would get on the practice squad if possible. Obvious guys who have fallen out in the preseason, but I don't think have a chance of making the team. Skylar Thompson, Dylan Cook, Lou Nichols, and Trey Sermon, both running backs that we saw in that final preseason game. They were awesome, and I would love to have either one, if not both of them, back on the practice squad. Couple wide receivers who I liked in the preseason, Keyshawn Williams and Max Hurlman. I think you could see those guys make the practice squad, maybe at least one of those. Defensive tackle, Logan Lee. Steelers picked him a couple years ago, 7th round pick out of Iowa. Solid defensive tackle. option for the practice squad. Also brings some long snapping ability, so maybe you elevate him for a game. And if Christian Kuntz goes down, you can bring in Logan Lee in a pinch. Kyler Baugh, another defensive tackle. Steelers brought him in midway through training camp. Had a good couple of plays in a couple of preseason games. Would like having him back. Couple other guys who got released. By the way, those handful of players who did get released along with Cameron Johnston and Ben Sauls today. Mark Robinson, who we mentioned, Julius Welshoff, Max Hurlman, Lou Nichols, Lance McCutcheon, J.J. Galbraith, Stephen Jones, Aiden Williams, Kyler Baugh, Deshaun Jameson, and Daryl Porter. So majority of those guys we expected to get cut. Hopefully a handful of those guys who I like will make the practice squad. And then, some other two other guys here who I would want back on the practice squad. Sebastian Castro, safety out of Iowa. I think he still got more to show than what he put on tape in the preseason. And also, I haven't really been paying attention to who's been getting cut from other teams that much. But one guy who caught my eye that the Buffalo Bills released, I'm not sure if he got drafted by them or if he was an undrafted free agent. Zy Alexander, corner who just came out of college from LSU. Steelers did some work on him back during the whole draft process. I remember him. He was also up there quite a bit on my corner rankings. If the Steelers want to bring in, anybody for their practice squad, Zy Alexander, he would be a guy that I would like to see there. So that is my 53-man roster projections, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any other thoughts, questions, or opinions about my 53-man roster projections, by all means, let your feelings be known in the comments section. Speaking of the comments section, real quick, back to see what all is going on there. Flock and Concepts back in there. Beanie being absent at practice today really makes me believe Trice takes his spot on the roster. Yeah, really, Trice, a guy who they still have high hopes for. It's just a matter of keeping him healthy. And Bishop, one-trick pony. Nickel, slot corner, that's pretty much it. And the Steelers, they already have two solid options there in Jalen Ramsey first and foremost, and then Brandon Eccles, who has done nothing but ball in the preseason. So, sorry, Beanie. I'm sure a ton of Steelers fans would have loved to see you make the team, West Virginia ties to Pittsburgh and all that, but only doing one thing in the NFL and being average at best at that thing isn't going to keep you in the league for long. I'm still shocked. Not Bill Bird. Yeah, I'm shocked too. I thought the Steelers would have, gone back to the guy that they paid money to last offseason, the guy who seemingly works tirelessly at his craft in Cam Johnston. Like, I went to a preseason game both this year and last year, and just at times I would catch a glimpse of Cam Johnston on the sidelines. He is just never ending, always has a football in his hand, whether it's, practice punting into the kicking net or just practicing, the drops. I think he will guarantee, just like almost Ben Sauls. I want to guarantee because he's a hell of a kicker. Sauls, Johnston, I don't think it'll be too long before you see those guys somewhere starting in the NFL. Also, one other thing, Gare Concepts, about Johnston getting released. Someone can fact check me on this. I thought I saw something. The Steelers now have $2 million to play with. They saved $2 million by cutting ties or trading him. So maybe that could be used to get a wide receiver too, which we will cover here coming up next. Money always plays a role in every decision. Both are quality players. Agreed. Carson Bruner has a good preseason. Definitely practice squad possibility. Well, now that Mark Robinson is gone, he's making the team now. I'll tell you that much. He was an absolute monster in special teams, really throughout all three preseason games. And then I think one of the preseason games, it might have been that first one against Jacksonville, he led the team with like 8 tackles in just a half or a little over a half of football. Yeah, hopefully he continues that. I'm looking forward to big things from him on special teams. I'll make a prediction right now that Carson Bruner will have at least one forced fumble and or fumble recovery on special teams this year, maybe even 2. So looking forward to that. One more thing here. I really like Logan Lee over Isaiah Loudermilk. Yeah, I could have put Lee over Loudermilk as well, but really, at that point, I was like, Keanu Benton and Daniel Ekuale. Those are guys, along with Y.A. Black, even though they have him at edge right now. Black, Benton, Ekuale, guys who are like pretty good at defensive tackle, probably all better than Logan Lee at defensive tackle. I just had Loudermilk in there as, a guy who can play edge and fill in for Hayward or Harmon. So not sure if Logan Lee can do that. If he can, then by all means, I'd put him over Loudermilk. But yeah, it was neck and neck there as well. I also didn't want to, doing these 53-man roster projections have like this guy or this guy is going to make this spot. Like, no, I wanted hardcore names, 53 total. I wasn't going to take the easy route out and put, this guy or this guy can make it, who knows. But yeah, that's what I did. I do see Logan Lee as a much younger, Loudermilk and better. Get his ass off our team. Really not taking too kindly to Isaiah Loudermilk here. Oh, I misheard. I thought Bruner was cut today, but was it Mark Robinson instead? Yeah, Robinson got cut. Yeah, Robinson is gone. The heat-seeking missile with a broken guidance chip, no longer a part of the team. I do see Bruner picking up and then producing then some more than Robinson did, both on defense and special teams. All right, ladies and gentlemen, 12 of you in here right now. Welcome into the channel. Just went through my initial 53-man roster, my first and only 53-man roster projection before rosters become finalized at 4 p.m. tomorrow. We are up to 493 subscribers here on the channel, so I appreciate the new subscriber. I unfortunately cannot see who that is, but I appreciate you subscribing. Now 7 away from 500. Let's get to that sooner rather than later. Also, if you are new here, please leave a like and share this live stream and comment in the comment section, just like Flock and Concepts have done. Any thoughts, questions, or opinions you may have, get those in there. Also, go give me a follow at Steel City SR, Facebook, Instagram, and X, and come back later tonight to check out SCSR 60. Going to keep moving along here, ladies and gentlemen. Spent a ton of time on that 53 roster projection, but going to move into some new content here, and that is the Steelers still searching for a wide receiver too. Concepts, you brought it up earlier, and we're going to talk about it now. Tons of movement on the wide receiver market. Really, all of it coming today. Let's start off with the big one. Lots of us, including myself, we had dreams, big dreams, but pipe dreams nonetheless that we knew had no chance of coming true. Terry McLaurin finally gets a deal done with the Washington Commanders. He will stay there with Jaden Daniels. We knew that was going to be the case, pretty much this entire time, but we at least had the dream. Dreaming is free of him coming to Pittsburgh, going opposite DK Metcalf and having a immaculate, 1-2 punch at receiver. But he stays with the Commanders, 3-year deal, $96 million. That actually does come in below DK Metcalf. Metcalf making $33 million a year. McLaurin, he ties AJ Brown with the Eagles at $32 million a year. So we really knew that had no chance of happening. But now we're on to a more realistic possibility. And Concepts, you mentioned it, Jacoby Myers. How does that sound, ladies and gentlemen, of adding him as a wide receiver to Myers with the Vegas Raiders requesting a trade today? The team, citing his value, said that they have no plans to do so, but hey, things could change. And the reason why things could change is that just breaking news right before we went live, Amari Cooper is heading back to Vegas. Looking here, I saw it right here. A 1-year deal, Amari Cooper back to the Raiders. So where it all began for him. Really, he was a guy that I wanted to see the Steelers go out and get. But, with Cooper now going back out to Vegas, Myers, he's all freed up. Let's bring him in, boys. Let's bring him in. I'm all on board the Jacoby Myers trade here. Let me bring up his Football Reference page here real quick. Is it going to pop up for me? Pro Football Reference. Jacoby Myers, he's still young, right? Did PFR go down? Why is it not bringing up his age or anything here? Anyways, Jacoby Myers, 6'2", 203. He's probably, 27, 28 years old, something like that. 28, yeah. I was spot on. Last year, with the Commanders, again, he's got Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew and whoever the hell throwing him the ball. 87 receptions for over 1,000 yards. 4 touchdowns. I'm taking that production on the Steelers all day. That is a solid wide receiver 2 option. So Myers, available for trade. He's scheduled to make a little over $10 million this upcoming season. Coming off a 1,000-yard season. I'm, like you said, Concept, with the Raiders. They just lost Aiden O'Connell, their backup quarterback for the year. They got Geno Smith there and really nobody else behind him. How does Skylar Thompson in a 4th-round pick, maybe even a, 4th Skylar Thompson, and we get a late-round pick swap that Omar Khan likes to do somewhere in there, bring in Jacoby Myers, get that deal done. I'm cool with that. So, Concepts, you nailed my thoughts right on the head there of bringing in Myers. Now that Amari Cooper is out there, Cooper was at the top of the list of realistic possibilities for the Steelers. Bringing a veteran, smooth route runner who sure had a injury-riddled ending to the season and things didn't really go well up there in Buffalo, but still think Amari Cooper has a good bit of good football that is left in him. Now that he's heading out to Vegas, you can get a pretty much younger Amari Cooper who's a savvy route runner and bring him in here in Jacoby Myers. Omar Khan, please tell me you are on the phone right now talking with, who is it, Spytech out there is the GM with the Raiders. So I want Jacoby Myers, and I want him bad. This is the most realistic and the most opportune time for the Steelers to finally get a wide receiver 2, and Myers is right there requesting a trade. Bring him to Pittsburgh, get him in the offense for a couple of weeks before week 1 in New York. A couple other options, though, are still out there. I mean, if they don't get Jacoby Myers, like I said, Michael Gallup just got released today. I think DJ Chark is still out there. And there's going to be a couple more wide receivers that get released between now and tomorrow. So we will see. Also, back to my 53-man roster projection. Remember how I said Chuck Clark is sort of like your number 3 safety, but if you have a chance to upgrade, do it. Kyle Duggar, or at least that's what I think his first name is. Yeah, Kyle Duggar. Anybody have any interest in him? A New England Patriot, been there for many, many years and a starter for the past 5. Apparently he is being shopped by New England. If the Steelers, want to add one more big name on defense, he would do it. And at the right price, I'd do it too. So let me know who you guys are thinking that the Steelers should add, really at any position between now and tomorrow to the 53-man roster. Get those thoughts in the comments down below. Back to the comments right now with Concepts. If Tom Brady trades Jacoby to Pittsburgh, then I'll lie and call him the GOAT for 24 hours. He owes us after all the cheating against us. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's Brady's call at the end of the day, but Myers, he wants out. The Raiders, they just brought in Amari Cooper. And we got a quarterback who's done quite well in the preseason, is QB2 or QB3 material, and Skylar Thompson. They have a hole for a quarterback, a backup quarterback, that is. The puzzle pieces are there. It's just Omar Khan, John Spytek. Sit down, boys. Put the puzzle together. Get the deal done. Get Jacoby Myers to Pittsburgh. I'm all on board. Please no Chark. His hands are awful in my opinion. And doesn't Gallup have injury concerns? Jacoby would be the perfect fit for sure. I just mentioned Gallup and Chark pretty much because they're brand names. Also, another guy, Adam Thielen. He's kind of like a Michael Gallup. Sort of injuries have plagued him a bit, and getting up there a bit. But Adam Thielen, he'd be a guy that would pique my interest too. Apparently, he's being dangled out there, or could be cut by the Carolina Panthers. Who knows? Gonna real quick while I have a break here before we get into a tiny bit of baseball talk here this evening. Take a look at what else is going on here in the NFL. If there's been any other major moves. Let's see if we got any other teams cutting bait with some players. The Amari Cooper signing is everywhere right now. That is filling up my timeline. The Denver Broncos, they are waiving running back Audric Estime, who I did some work on out of Notre Dame. Not sure if we're seeing anything else here. Doesn't look like it. We'll see if any other major moves go down before we are done here tonight. So that is, whoa, actually we do have some news here. The Cincinnati Bengals agreed to a revised contract with Trey Hendrickson. I was about to talk about that in the extra Pittsburgh sports news segment after some baseball talk here, saying that I was going to say that the Bengals, they resumed contract talks with Trey Hendrickson, but now a revised contract. So that he's going to come back now? That's what I take that as. Maybe they slid a bunch of money up. They're just going to pay him a bunch of money this year, maybe try to franchise him next year and go back to the negotiating table next offseason. Not sure what that all is about, but I'm going to assume that's what it is. Real quick, understandable fans wanted him last year is why I said that. Yeah, assume Thielen, Chark, Gallup, really all guys that we've visited the well before with this time last offseason trying to address WR2, but Jacoby Myers is the guy. Wonder what that Trey Hendrickson thing is about. I don't know. All right, we're back. We're back. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, my computer shut down there for a second. All right, now we're back. Assuming we're good here, everyone can hear me. We do a real quick test here. Testing. Yep, looks like we're all good. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Talking about a whole bunch here. Did my 53-man roster projection to kick off the show here this evening. Also, we talked about a bunch of other news going down in the NFL. Trey Hendrickson agreeing to a revised contract with the Cincinnati Bengals. Amari Cooper going back out to Las Vegas. And speaking of Las Vegas, Jacoby Myers, their wide receiver, 1,000-yard receiving wide out. Jacoby Myers asking for a trade. Could he come to Pittsburgh? I hope so. 8 of you in here right now. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I'm live again. Also, would appreciate it if you like, share, and comment on this live stream. Every little thing that you do helps. Going to get into some Pittsburgh Pirates news now, ladies and gentlemen. Just going to real quick hit on some baseball news. Of course, over here to my right, Pirates pregame going on right now. They about to begin a 3-game set with the St. Louis Cardinals here tonight. Recapping what went down over the weekend since we last spoke on Friday, the Bucks having a full 3-game series at home against the Colorado Rockies, and they swept the Rockies. A fantastic showing throughout the weekend there. Starting off with what happened Friday night, Andrew McCutchen began the ball game in the bottom of the first with a 2 RBI, 2-out double to left center field. A little bit after that, former Pirate manager who is now the bench coach for the Colorado Rockies, Clint Hurdle, making his return to Pittsburgh. Got a nice standing ovation there from the crowd. That is always good to see. Love Clint Hurdle. I think all of us Pittsburgh Pirates fans can say the same. Really, he is the embodiment and the last, one of the last reminding figures still active in baseball today of when this team last had success back in the early and mid 2010s. So nice to see Clint Hurdle back in Pittsburgh. After Andrew McCutchen got the Bucks on the board in the bottom of the first with a 2 RBI double, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa and Spencer Horwitz, not too long after that, they went back-to-back with a pair of doubles, made it 3-0. And then McCutchen, again, driving a ball damn near out of the ballpark, one-hopped the wall out there in right center field. That brought home 2 more runs, made it 5-0. Braxton Ashcraft got the start for the Bucks on Friday night. Good outing for him. 5 innings pitched. Only gave up 1 hit, walked 1, struck out 6, and only had 65 pitches. A career high for him in the big leagues. We got to remember, he came up, started in the bullpen, and then, after starting in the bullpen, has gotten, over the past couple of games, some starts in the rotation. So, good outing for Braxton Ashcraft, excuse me. He now, by the way, through 4 career starts, has the 4th lowest ERA among Pirate pitchers through their first 4 starts, with a 1.10 ERA. Those ahead of him, Mike Dunn in 1987 with a 1.09 ERA. Roansy Contreras wasn't too long ago. He was a highly touted Bucks prospect and then flamed out with an 0.96 ERA. And then the great Zach Duke. What a legendary guy he was back from my childhood. Back in 2005, had an 0.93 ERA. So good outing there from Braxton Ashcraft on Friday. Then it was Bubba time, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, in his first game in the big leagues, Bubba Chandler, he's going to be in the bullpen to begin his big league career. He will eventually get into a starter's role, but coming out of the pen for the 6th inning, started off his big league career, scoreless 6th inning, struck out 2 batters over 100 miles an hour on the gun. And the run support for the pitchers did not end there. Bucks ended up making it 6-0. Spencer Horwitz with a line drive home run over the Clemente wall. Then more extra base hits from Brian Reynolds and Tommy Pham with a 2-run home run made it 8-0. Alexander Canario in garbage time had another home run to right center field. When it was all said and done, a 9-0 victory for the Bucks, a win for Braxton Ashcraft and Bubba Chandler in his MLB debut. 4 innings pitched. Went the rest of the way after Ashcraft, gave up just 2 hits, struck out 3, threw 40 pitches. He is the first pitcher in their major league debut to record a 4-inning save. Congratulations to him. Outstanding night for the Bucks. Moving into Saturday's ball game, again, Andrew McCutchen getting the party started. Gets his 12th home run of the season, an absolute no-doubter to left field. That made it 2-0. Jared Triolo saw McCutchen hit a 2-run shot, followed up with one of his own, made it 4-0. And then Brian Reynolds later on in the ball game in the bottom of the 5th added another run with a RBI double to right center field. Mike Burrows started on Saturday, went 4 innings, only threw 57 pitches, walked 1, struck out 5, gave up 2 hits. Final score of the ball game wound up being Pirates 5, Rockies 1. And then yesterday, Jared Triolo, again, red hot in this series. Bottom of the 4th inning, 0-0, hits a 3-run shot, a no-doubter, to left field. He all of a sudden on a heater. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, not too long after that, he hit a double. Henry Davis came across the score there. That made it 4-0. It was a Paul Skeens day yesterday. Shocked that I didn't mention that until now. 7 innings, only gave up 3 hits, no walks, no runs, 7 Ks. Now has a 2.07 ERA on the year with 160 and 2/3 innings pitched. Cy Young. Only thing I'm going to say about that was like a man amongst toddlers out there against the Colorado Rockies. And dare I say it, assuming that he stays healthy the rest of the way and that he has a couple of Paul Skeens level starts, I think right now you can begin to write in pen Paul Skeens as your 2025 Cy Young Award winner. And I'm saying that not because Zach Wheeler, ace for the Philadelphia Phillies, had shoulder surgery and is out 6 to 8 months. I say that because Paul Skeens, even with this very terrible team around him, is doing godly things on the baseball diamond. So, good start for Skeens. Now, by the way, through 294 career innings, has a 2.02 ERA. He has just 66 earned runs in 50 starts in his career. Inhuman. Anyway, Bucks, they completed the sweep yesterday, a 4-0 final score against the Rockies. They now, you want to talk about a statistic that really encapsulates how this team has done this year. 4-0 win yesterday. They now lead the major leagues in shutouts. They have shut out major league opponents 16 times this year. You know what else is hilarious? They also hold the record for being shut out the most times this year at 15. Good job, Ben Cherington. The team is so good, and they're so close, yet they are so far away and so terrible at the same time. It makes my head hurt. 15 times they've been shut out this year, and they've shut out teams 16 times. They lead the majors in both the very good and the very bad. Well, whatever. Very frustrating this team is. Also, by the way, as if there was going to be, any sort of miracle here, the Colorado Rockies, they have officially been eliminated from playoff contention by the Pirates. I would say cool, but it's not like the Pirates are going to be joining them soon enough anyways. So, anyways, like I said, game coming up here at 7:45 tonight. The Bucks in St. Louis beginning a 3-game set there before they then have a weekend set against the Boston Red Sox at Fenway next weekend. Tonight's lineup for the Bucks: Ronnie Simon leads off in right field, Nick Gonzalez at second base, Brian Reynolds DHing tonight, Spencer Horwitz at first base batting cleanup, Tommy Pham in left, Jared Triolo at third base tonight, Jack Sawinski in center, Joey Bart catching, Liover Peguero at shortstop. So an off night for Andrew McCutchen, an off night for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, an off night for Henry Davis. Johan Oviedo, by the way, he is on the mound tonight. Little shocked, Ronnie Simon still batting leadoff tonight for the Bucks. Could be seeing him go back down here soon because O'Neal Cruz, ladies and gentlemen, according to Colin Beasley of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, he has a clubhouse locker room in St. Louis. So Cruz, after having a rehab assignment this weekend with AA Altoona, by the way, absolute cinema, seeing O'Neal Cruz play with Connor Griffin and Tamar Johnson. Cruz had his rehab assignment. Ben Cherington yesterday on his radio show said that Cruz, barring something unforeseen, was going to be with the team today. That's the case. Good weekend for the Bucks. Cruz is back healthy, about to begin a 3-game set. Unfortunately, it's in their House of Horrors in St. Louis, but good weekend series. A brief commercial break of happiness for the absolute crap sandwich that has been this season. Jared Triolo, all of a sudden, is Mickey Mantle. Andrew McCutchen, you can pay that man 1 year, $5 million until he's 45. And Paul Skeens, Bubba Chandler, more hope for this already bright future for the Pirate pitching staff. Also, one other thing on the Pirates before we get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news segment, just a minor roster move. The Pirates claimed utility man Ryan Kreidler off of waivers from the Detroit Tigers. 27-year-old utility man. He's played second base, shortstop, third base, left field, and center field. He is a career 138 hitter with 2 home runs and a double in 89 big league games. He now fills out the Pirates' 40-man roster. They are now back up to a full 40-man following the trade deadline. What an outstanding acquisition that is there by Ben Cherington. Just when I was talking positive about the Pirates, they make a mind-numbing roster move like that. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, going to wrap things up here in real quick like fashion. Let's get into the more Pittsburgh sports news segment here of the program here. Let's get back into football here for a quick second. We just talked about it a couple minutes ago. The Bengals restarting talks with All-Pro defensive end Trey Hendrickson, according to Jordan Schultz. His understanding, this came out this morning, is that the two sides have been exploring a more unique avenue to get something done. Turns out that more unique avenue is them just revising the contract. We figured that out during the live stream here tonight. Also, a couple of other roster moves around the NFL that relate to former Pittsburgh Steelers. The Miami Dolphins, they are going to release corner Mike Hilton per Drew Rosenhaus and Robert Bailey. Unless, if the Steelers didn't have Jalen Ramsey and Brandon Echols, and Beanie Bishop was still, in my mind, 100% going to make the team, I would probably kick the tires on Mike Hilton. He's a guy that, back at the height of his powers, he was an excellent nickel corner, not fantastic blitzer. Thought he was worth the money at the time. He ends up getting a payday from Cincinnati before he goes to Miami. Hope he lands somewhere nice, but just don't see a spot for him on the Steelers roster. One person who I do see a place for on the Steelers roster, or at least their practice squad, Aaron Shamplin. Remember him? School teacher by day, Steelers running back by night, at least on the practice squad. He too got cut from the Dolphins today. Last bit of football news here today. Just talking about some Steelers divisional opponents here in the Bengals, let's keep tabs on another one here. The Cleveland Browns, some feelings among insiders is that Kenny Pickett is healthy enough to remain on the Browns active roster, and that we could see, according to Jeremy Fowler and some others, a 4-man quarterback room for the Cleveland Browns. They could keep all 4. Joe Flacco, who they named the starter, Pickett, who went down with injury, but if he was healthy throughout the preseason, I think you would have seen Flacco get cut and Pickett be the starter. And then Dylan Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders. So that's pretty odd. The Browns keeping 4 quarterbacks. Wrapping up the news here, just one extra news story relating to the Pittsburgh Pirates here today. We talked about O'Neal Cruz going on his rehab assignment down to Double-A Altoona. It was fantastic seeing Cruz lead off, followed by Connor Griffin and Tamar Johnson. The curve this weekend just absolutely tearing apart the Reading Fighting Phils. Griffin adjusting well day by day to Double-A pitching, had a 107-mile-an-hour line drive single, cracked a couple of doubles. He's on a absolute tear right now, both hitting and stealing bases. Tamar Johnson, he's doing well. Also, a 10-game on-base streak for him. Wrapping up here on Connor Griffin, 16 home runs, 76 RBIs, 63 stolen bases, and 45 walks. All of those across just his entirety of the season. Bradenton, Greensboro, and Altoona. Continue what you're doing, Pirates. Do not wave. Fast track that kid to the big leagues. I'd be cool with him. You know, I've been saying on here, start him next year in AAA and then have him come up midway through the year to the big leagues. If you want to go the Jared Jones route with him, you know, have him make the opening day roster out of spring training next year, I'd be okay with that too. Not going to lie. All right, ladies and gentlemen, over an hour and 17 minutes here on stream here tonight. I think that is going to do it. We talked a bunch, and for good reason. Tons have gone on here today. We did now that I'm scrolling here through Twitter, the specific money that the Steelers saved by cutting Cam Johnston, $1.4 million. Could come in handy here and bringing in a wide receiver too. Who knows? All right, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it here today. So for one final time, if you would please subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again. One more check here, still at 493 subscribers on the channel, 7 away from 500. Please subscribe if you have not done so already. Also, like this live stream, share this live stream, leave a comment in the comments section, any thoughts, questions, or opinions that you may have after the fact. Go give the channel a follow at Steel City SR on Facebook, Instagram, and X, and come back later on this evening for a new edition of SCSR60. We'll figure out and record that here as soon as possible with all the crazy moves that have gone on here today. Recapping, 53-man roster projection. I've said my piece, who I think should make the roster, who I think shouldn't. We'll figure all out tomorrow, who made it, who didn't. We'll talk about it then. Also, we will talk about what goes on tonight between the Pirates and the St. Louis Cardinals and any other fun bits of news. Most of it will come from the NFL. We will talk about it. Everything. Expect another massive live stream like this tomorrow. Come on back then. Have a good rest of your Monday night. Back here tomorrow. Check out SCSR60 later on. Have a good one. Peace.